welcome to episode 9 of season 7, Old Friends Not Forgotten. This episode is the first episode in the last arc of season 7 of the Clone Wars, the Siege of Mandalore. Now this episode, while I liked it for the most part, it confused me with a couple things, and it's those things that made me question whether or not I actually liked it. So what happens? Obi Wan and the 212th are fighting against an overwhelming attack by the separatists on Cato Neimoidia. Vastly outnumbered, they enlist the help of Anakin and the 501st to give them some reinforcements. Once they gain the upper hand, Admiral yularen asks for Anakin and Obi Wan's presence on the Star Destroyer, as a matter has occurred that happens to be Ahsoka and Bo Kahtan. After explaining the situation, Obi Wan says that he needs to contact the Council before the 212th can get involved. However, Anakin, realising the severity of the situation, says that the 501st can help. However, after an attack is reported on Coruscant, Anakin and Obi Wan can no longer help and leave it to Ahsoka and Rex and the rest of the 501st. They end up dealing with Maul and his forces. After a battle on Mandalore, Ahsoka gets separated from Rex and some of the 501st and ends up on a one-on-one with Maul. So as I mentioned earlier, I really enjoyed this episode. However, there were some aspects of this episode that I thought were weird and why they had to be the way they were. First thing, the whole intro sequence. It was trying to be a Star Wars movie with the Star Wars movie intro music and saying Lucasfilm Productions at the start. It was a bit weird for an episode of the Clone Wars, and whether they're going to continue doing that in the next episode, I hope so, because now they've started, they need to keep it consistent. But it's just weird, it's sort of completely out of nowhere, and maybe it's because it's the last episode of the Clone Wars and they want to make it special, but it's a bit out of place considering the rest of it is the way it always was. The intro sequence is okay, I suppose. It showed why all the Jedi were spread so thin across the galaxy and why they were in the position they were when Order 66 hit. So you see, like, Aayla Secure on Felucia, you see, Plo Koon, I think, is on Cato Neimoidia as well. However, the image of General Grievous was just weird. I did not like it, and it still sort of haunts me looking at it now. It's not the fact that it's an image of General... It's not the fact that General Grievous was there, but it's the fact that it was an image instead of a... The fact that it was an image instead of a moving animation. I don't know why, it just looks a bit off to me. Also, something else I noticed in this episode is that it's generally just started looking like Revenge of the Sith. And not just the models of the characters, but the atmosphere is darker. Maybe it was because of the very clear references to Revenge of the Sith at the start, which would warrant more comparisons, and people will end up thinking this is when Anakin starts to turn to the dark side, so then comparisons start to happen. Maybe that was the goal of it, I don't know. But that's about all the bad I have to say about this episode. The rest is really quite enjoyable. We see more of Anakin turn to the dark side, and one of the shining examples of this is when Anakin wants to catch up with Ahsoka, but she is more interested in getting on with the mission rather than just being friendly. And the look of anger and disappointment on Anakin's face when she walked past him is just that little hint of Darth Vader, which is very, very welcome to see. However, I did think that Anakin and Ahsoka's last engagement in this episode maybe could have been a little more heartfelt, considering this is probably the last time she will see him before Revenge of the Sith events take place. Maybe that was the point. Maybe the point was not to have it too heartfelt, as they never know the events that turn out the way they did, and they're sure they end up seeing each other again anyway. On topic of Ahsoka, I really liked her saying to Obi Wan about how the Republic are fighting for politics rather than for the galaxy as a whole. It shows that what she's learned about the Jedi and now she's using it to try and teach Obi Wan and Anakin the error of the Jedi ways. And I thought this would happen, and I'm glad that it did. The start of the Mandalore siege is a really enjoyable sequence as well. The gunship sequence especially, with all the clones and Death Watch flying around on jetpacks, having like a person-to-person battle but in the air. It's really different, it's really nice to see as well. And the fact that when they got to the surface, it turned into an all-out planetary war. I do wish to get more of that planetary war feel. And maybe in the next episode we will, but something makes me think that it's not going to be alluded on that much. So overall, I really did enjoy this episode. However, there were some issues with it that I had a problem with and didn't really make much sense for them to have in. However, I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of this arc and seeing what happens between Ahsoka and Darth Maul.